You that? Her mother told her that. Then y'all don't even listen to God tell you how to raise me. That's right. Eat your vegetables. Your mother tell you that? Her mother told her that? How long do you have to keep telling the child to eat vegetables for God trying to tell you that vegetables I didn't mean for y'all to eat? How long? How long? Vegetables were not meant for us to eat. You don't have to make a child do nothing that they're supposed to do. Go do-do. Go pee-pee. You ever had to make a child eat an orange or an apple? And right in Genesis, but y'all so playing so many games and so on, got to speak, you don't even see it. Right in Genesis 1:28. Behold, I've given you every herb-bearing seed for you. It is your meat. What is meat? The meat of an apple? The meat of an orange? When you eat a steak, that's flesh. The white boy changed the word so he could trick y'all and y'all bought into it. So it tells you right there. If it ain't got a seed in you, but your children tell you. Then y'all don't even.
Shalom, Kal Halayimla, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. And Shalom to the 144,000 in the elect on Za'im. And this is another video entitled Lawful and Unlawful Foods. Now right here he's saying we're not meant to eat vegetables, which that's a damn lie. And we're going to get into that. Genesis 1 and 29. Straight to the point. I'm not trying to make this video very long. Genesis 1 and 29 NLT. Then Yahweh said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food. Salaki, let me read it again. Then Yahweh said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food. So every fruit and every vegetable that brings forth seed of itself is what we can eat. And I have given you every plant as food for all the wild animals. So the plants were for the birds in the sky and the small animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life, and that is what happened. Let's go to the lawful and unlawful things that we're supposed to eat. And that's in Leviticus 11. NLT, ceremonially clean and unclean animals. And we're going to read in Leviticus 11 and 1. The Lord Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Of all the land animals, these are the ones you may use for food. So these are the animals that we should eat. You may eat any animal that has completely split hooves and choose the cud. You may not, however, eat the following animals. So these are the animals that we're not supposed to eat. That have split hooves or chew the cud, but not both. So if they have split hooves or chew the cud, but not both, the camel chews the cud, but does not have the split hooves. So it is ceremonially unclean for you. The hyrax, which is the coney, chews the cud, but does not split the hooves, so it is unclean. The hare chews the cud, but does not have split hooves, so it is unclean. The pig, which Jake loved to eat, that swine, has evenly split hooves, but does not chew the cud, so it is unclean. Now let's go back up here. and get a better understanding of Leviticus 11:3. You may eat any animal that has completely split hooves and choose the cud. And it says, you may not, however, eat the following animals that have split hooves. So if their hooves are split, or that choose the cud, but not both. Now let's go back down to Leviticus 11:8. You may not eat the meat of these animals or even touch their carcasses. They are ceremonially unclean for you. Of all the marine animals, so that's the animals that are found in the waters, these are ones you may use for food. These are the ones that we're supposed to eat. You may eat anything from the water if it has both fins and scales. So if it has fins and scales, we're supposed to eat. But that shrimp, crab, and lobster that Jake loved to eat, that's an abomination. Whether taken from salt water or from streams. But you must never eat animals from the sea or from rivers that do not have both fins and scales. So if it doesn't have fins and scales, you're not supposed to eat it. They are detestable to you. This applies both to little creatures that live in shallow waters, crawfish, and to all creatures that live in the deep, shrimp, octopus, cuttlefish. They will always be detestable to you. You must never eat their meat or even touch their dead bodies. Any marine animal that does not have both fins and scales is detestable to you, which is an abomination. If we go to Leviticus 11:12, it says, whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. Back into Leviticus 11:13 NLT. These are the birds that are detestable to you, which are an abomination to you. You must never eat them: the griffin vulture, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite, falcons of all kinds, ravens of all kinds, the eagle owl, the short-eared owl, the seagull, hawks of all kinds, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the barn owl, the desert owl, the Egyptian vulture, the stork, herons of all kinds, the hoopoe, and the bat. You must not eat winged insects that walk along the ground. They are detestable unto you. You may, however, eat winged insects that walk along the ground and have jointed legs so they can jump, which are the insects you are permitted to eat include all kinds of locusts, bald locusts, crickets, and grasshoppers. All other winged insects that walk along the ground are detestable to you. The following creatures will make you ceremonially unclean. If any of you touch their carcasses, you will be defiled until evening. If you pick up their carcasses, you must wash your clothes, and you will remain defiled until evening. Any animal that has split hooves that are not evenly divided or that does not chew the cud is unclean for you. If you touch the carcass of such an animal, you will be defiled. Of the animals that walk on all fours, those that have paws are unclean. If you touch the carcass of such an animal, you will be defiled until evening. If you pick up its carcass, you must wash your clothes, and you will remain defiled until evening. These animals are unclean for you. Of the small animals that scurry along the ground, these are unclean for you: the mole rat, the rat, and we all know that Moab loves their rats and their cats and their dogs. Large lizards of all kinds, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the common lizard, the sand lizard, and the chameleon. All these small animals are unclean for you. If any of you touch the dead body of such an animal, you will be defiled until evening. If such an animal dies and falls on something, that object will be unclean. This is true whether the object is made of wood, cloth, leather, or burlap. Whatever its use, you must dip it in water, and it will remain defiled until evening. After that, it will be ceremonially clean and may be used again. If such an animal falls into a clay pot, everything in the pot will be defiled, and the pot must be smashed. If the water from such a container spills on any food, Salaki, let's go back to 11:33. If such an animal falls into a clay pot, everything in the pot will be defiled, and the pot must be smashed. So when Solomon had their feast and they ate on the gold plates, and a fly landed on the plate, they would throw the plate away because it was ceremonially unclean. 34. If the water from such a container spills on any food, the food will be defiled, and any beverage in such a container will be defiled. Any object on which the carcass of such an animal falls will be defiled. See, it tells you there. When a defiled carcass or a defiled animal touches something, an object, it will be defiled. If it is an oven or hearth, it must be destroyed, for it is defiled, and you must treat it accordingly. However, if the carcass of such an animal falls into a spring or a cistern, the water will still be clean, but anyone who touches the carcass will be defiled. If the carcass falls on seed grain to be planted in the field, the seed will still be considered clean. But if the seed is wet when the carcass falls on it, the seed will be defiled. If any animal you are permitted to eat dies and you touch its carcasses, you will be defiled until evening. If you eat any of its meat or carry away its carcass, you must wash your clothes, and you will remain defiled until evening. All small animals that scurry along the ground are detestable, and you must never eat them. This includes all animals that slither, like snakes, along on their bellies, as well as those with 4 legs and those with many feet, centipedes, scorpions. All such animals that scurry along the ground are detestable, and you must never eat them. Do not defile yourself by touching them. You must not make yourself ceremonially unclean because of them. For I am the Lord Yahweh your power. You must consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. So do not defile yourselves with any of these small animals that scurry along the ground. For I, the Lord Yahweh, am the one who brought you up from the land of Egypt, that I might be your power. Therefore you must be holy, because I am holy. These are the instructions regarding land animals, birds, marine creatures, and animals that scurry along the ground. By these instructions you will know what is unclean and clean, and which animals may be eaten and which may not be eaten. Let's go into Daniel and we'll close it out. Daniel 1:1. Daniel in Nebuchadnezzar's court, NLT. During the 3rd year of King Jehoiakim's reign in Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave him victory over King Jehoiakim, of Judah and permitted him to take some of the sacred objects from the temple of Yahweh. So Nebuchadnezzar took them back to the land of Babylonia and placed them in the treasure house of his God. So they took objects from the temple of Yahweh and brought it back into his place where he had into Babylonia, where he places his treasures of his God. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, his chief of staff, to bring to the palace some of the young men of Judah's royal family and other noble families who had been brought to Babylon as captives. Select only strong, healthy, and good-looking young men, he said. Make sure they are well versed in every branch of learning, are gifted with knowledge and good judgment, and are suited to serve in royal palace. Train these young men in the language and literature of Babylon. The king assigned them a daily ration of food and wine from his own kitchens. They were to be trained for 3 years, and then they would enter the royal service. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were 4 of the young men chosen, all from the tribe of Judah. The chief of staff renamed them with these Babylonian names. Daniel was Belteshazzar, Hananiah was Shadrach, Mishael was called Meshach, Azariah was called Abednego. But Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and the wine given to them by the king. So evidently the things that the king was feeding them was either unclean or unceremonial, which if they would have ate, it would have made them unclean. So Daniel did not eat them. He asked the chief of staff for permission not to eat these unacceptable foods. Verse 9. Now Yahweh had given the chief of staff both respect and affection for Daniel, but he responded, I am afraid of my lord the king, who has ordered that you eat this food and wine. If you become pale and thin compared to the other youths your age, I am afraid the king will have me beheaded. So the chief of staff insisted on feeding Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego the food and wine that was given to them by the king, but they did not want to eat it because it was unclean. And he said that he was afraid that the king would behead them if they looked pale and thin compared unto the other youths their age. Verse 11. Daniel spoke with the attendant who had been appointed by the chief of staff to look after Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water. So what the guy in the video was talking about, it's a damn lie. It said we'll read it again. Please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water. Please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water. See, this is the things that we're supposed to eat. Daniel said, and at the end of the 10 days, see how we look compared to the other young men who are eating the king's food. Then make your decision in light of what you see. The attendant agreed on Daniel's suggestion and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, Daniel and his 3 friends looked healthier and better nourished than the young men who had been eating the food assigned by the king. So after that, the attendant fed them only vegetables instead of the food and wine provided for the others. Shalom.